Hey, it's Brad. On this episode, we're going to be taking on a project I've been thinking about for years. It turned out even better than I was expecting. Let's get started. On today's episode of Watch Brad Work, we are in the process of putting in a pass-through food plot. We're in an interior portion of the woods, and there's several steps that we have to take to get to where we need to plant the food plot. First part we've already done, and that's to clear out some of the vegetation that was on the ground. The reason there was so much that was here was because of the types of trees that were here. We have a lot of walnut trees that have very thin leaves and allows a lot of sunlight to filter through, which allows a lot of this ground vegetation to grow. So we needed to come in here, we mowed it down, and then we sprayed it with some glyphosate in order to knock that down. The next step is we are going to be taking down a lot of trees. Matter of fact, 50 to be exact. Now, of those 50 trees, we have about 20 or so that are small enough that we're going to be able to mulch it. The rest are going to take a little bit more work for us. Most of these walnut trees aren't quite big enough in order to take the main portion of the trunks and sell them for veneer wood. If we had a little bit bigger size, I definitely would do that, but I think for right now, we're just going to take them and process them into firewood. Perhaps the easiest way to deal with this many trees is to bring in a bulldozer and knock down all the trees. You could get the stumps out of here and it'd be great. But you still would be left with all the rest of the tree that you pulled up. And honestly, as much fun as that would be to get a bulldozer in here, it's really not a good application. It'd be kind of a pain to get it back here. So we are going to use a chainsaw and we are going to take care of all the trees that are back here. We also plan on using almost every part of the tree that we take down. A majority of the trees will be big enough that we'll be able to cut them into firewood that we'll use at some point at our house, and that'll be great. The rest of the tree that isn't big enough for firewood, we're going to mulch it, and we'll use that. We have plenty of places that we can use mulch, whether it's on a path here at the property or we have a lot of beds back at the home property that we can definitely use that mulch. So we're going to utilize all that mulch. It will take some extra time, but we'll get all the wood cleared out of here, which will get us ready for the food plot that we're hoping to get installed before this fall. All right, I have my protective gear on, I have my saw, and it's time to get to work. So the work we did today required the use of a chainsaw. If you choose to tackle a job like this or cutting down any trees with a chainsaw, be aware of the safety concerns related to this operation. First, if you misuse or underestimate the power in a chainsaw, it could lead to serious injury or even death. You need to be aware of what you're dealing with. Next, the most efficient use of a chainsaw is when a chain is sharp. There is little that dulls a chain quicker than getting it into contact with dirt. You're typically going to do this when you are bucking or cutting a longer log into smaller pieces, and as you're cutting through, you're going to contact that dirt. You're going to get that chain far less life as far as your ability to cut quickly and safely. So I have been using a great tool for a while now, and it's called a timber jack. The timber jack allows you to grab onto that log, prop it up, and get it far enough away from the ground so that you're not going to run into that dirt when you cut through that log. This one that I'm using here is pretty simple. I got it from Amazon, and it's been working just great. Now you're limited in the size of the log you're going to be able to use, so you can't get too big of a tree, but for most of the things that I take care of, it's just fine. Now for most of my work, I use the regular or steel chains, and as long as I stay out of the dirt, they can stay sharp for quite a while. However, when I change over to cutting stumps down as far as I can, I switch over to my carbide or carbide tipped chains. And the reason I do that is because those are much more resistant to the impact of dirt. And when you are cutting as close as you can to get that as flat as possible, that stump, you're likely to probably hit a little bit of dirt. These chains are typically used for applications such as firefighters when they need to cut holes in roofs. So you're cutting through asphalt or other type of roofing, and it allows you to cut through that more quickly than a typical chain. But in our circumstance, you have a couple choices here. You either come in here and you remove all the stumps, and it takes quite a while or it's more expensive. I tend to come through and cut these off, kill them with some Tordon. And even though it doesn't grow anything right away, it's a great way to be able to quickly establish a food plot. Just make sure that if you're going to use a chainsaw that you understand as much as you can about it. Hopefully work with somebody that's used a chainsaw that can walk you through what needs to be done safely, and preferably learn all you can about the maintenance, because a well-maintained saw is a safe saw, and you want to make sure that you aren't putting anyone in harm's way, especially yourself. All right, so we finally get to wrap this project up, and I say finally because we're about a month after when I first started this. It wouldn't normally take me this long, but because our tractor was in the shop,
2 thumbs down,
I only had a limited amount of room for all the branches and smaller trees that I needed to chip. And so therefore, because I didn't have much more room, I had to stop because we had a window where we had to get the food plot in to make sure that it was here for the fall. So I actually thought I had to take down another 15 to 20 trees to get the size of the food plot I really wanted. But actually, after I just tried an experiment of just kind of spreading the food plot seed, even under the trees that I didn't cut, because of the type of leaves that were in these trees, these walnut trees, there's a lot of light filtering going on. It actually did pretty well. So I'm pretty happy with all of the food that's been produced here. So honestly, I may not even do anything. I'll just go ahead and see how it goes. Which is great news. The other benefit of having to wait is we get to take a look at the results of the food plot, and honestly, I'm super happy with it. We got enough rain to get it germinated, and it looks awesome because it's kind of shaded because of the surrounding trees. Even though we haven't had rain recently, it's done really well, and there's enough subsoil moisture that we're able to continue to see this growth. The mix that I put in is actually a longer term mix with some brassicas like I have in my other food plots. But after these die off, those are annuals, there's some clover that's in there as well. So those are going to come back in the spring. So hopefully we can chase turkeys in this, and then we'll probably leave it as clover for next fall so that we can continue to have a different opportunity for the deer. But for this year, Actually, it's already been a success. We've already had the deer discover it, and we've actually had a great group of bucks that's been coming in here. They look mostly younger, probably 2 to 3 years old. But the bottom line is, for me, is that when hunting season hits, we're going to have an opportunity to see this be a great place that's hidden and give us some opportunities. So as we wrap up, this project that we completed today was not random. It was part of our bigger habitat improvement plan that we have for this property. And we were hoping to get to it a couple of years ago, but we had other issues that we had to take care of, and so it was awesome to get this taken care of. And I'm super excited about the prospects it has for this fall and beyond. You know who else is happy about it? The deer. You're already starting to see deer that are finding it, and we're not far off from some bedding areas. It's secluded, and really what you want to have several of these if you can on your property. Hey, if you have a whitetail property, or you're thinking about buying one, or you're dreaming about it, and you'd like some help, or you'd like some advice or a different perspective, we would love to partner with you. Elevate Whitetail Habitat Services can help you out to design your whitetail property and hopefully look at a way to make you more successful and enjoy your land. You can check out our website. The link is below. You can find out a little bit more about what we do and some of the ways that we can help you out. And again, we'd love to partner with you if it would work out for you. All right, it's time to mulch this pile and get on out of here so that we can let this land rest and give it to the deer. Hey, thanks again for watching Brad Work.